okay, I understand I'm being a bit dramatic, but this is something that I really, really want, because Tomodachi Life on the Nintendo 3DS is one of that system's most fun little releases. I look back on this and I almost feel like it's like this kind of cult classic, kind of niche game, but like, no, it sold over 6 million copies. This game did really well, and I think it deserved to do well. But my big problem with it is that I feel like it doesn't go far enough, and I just feel like a sequel to it would just fix all of that. Okay, but let's go back and talk about Tomodachi Life. So this is actually a sequel to a Japan-only DS game. Now, of course, since we didn't get that game over here, and the fact that it's not in English, I'm not really down to play it much. Also considering the fact that, Tomodachi Life, at the very least, seems to me like it's pretty much that game, but like better. So the original Tomodachi collection, I don't really have much reason to play, but looking back at it and looking how they did Tomodachi Life, I'm really saddened that game never came out on the DS, because it is a very impressive DS game, and I think it would have done extremely well in North America. But of course, that never happened, so we had to wait until 2014 with Tomodachi Life. They did this whole like Tomodachi Life Nintendo Direct that was just really, really odd. Just a bunch of skits with a bunch of the quirky humor in the game to announce that it was finally being localized, because I believe this launched in 2013 in Japan, and then this came out outside of Japan in like June of 2014. And let me tell you, I played this game a lot the week it came out, and then I didn't for a couple years. This game does kind of get a little old after a while, like after a while, like you stop seeing new stuff, and it's just kind of like, you just kind of go through the motions, just doing the same exact things over and over and over again. I think it definitely does get a lot better once you start adding as many Miis as you possibly can to your game, but at the end of the day, you start to see kind of the same old, and this game is sometimes very hard to consider a game. The closest thing to actual gameplay you get in this game are like matching tile puzzle games, or guess the food. It's very limited in terms of actual gameplay, but I think Tomodachi Life really thrives on just being like such a quirky, interesting social simulation. There's really not much else like this game. I mean, like, yeah, you can compare it to like Animal Crossing and The Sims, but it's really nothing like either of those. It's all about just popping Miis of people that you know, fictional characters, whoever the hell you want, in an apartment building, and just seeing how they all interact with each other. Pretty much, it's just all about you viewing what they're doing. That's pretty much it. Yeah, you feed them and you give them presents and clothes and hats and different things, but at the end of the day, it's almost like you're looking into like a terrarium or something, just watching how all these things interact with each other. But I think that makes it really interesting and really fun. I do think there's a lot of depth to this game when it comes to just its system of figuring out a Mii's personality. Because when you make your Mii in the game and then you do the little personality chart thing, more often than not, whoever I'm making the Mii based off of, if I just kind of like try to figure out their personality myself, like, a lot of times, like, they're represented pretty well in Tomodachi Life. And it's really fun to see these Miis do things that their real-life counterparts would probably do. However, there's only so much you can do in Tomodachi Life. There is, like, a lot, so, like, at the very start, when you're playing the game for the first time and just going through everything, feels like you're constantly unlocking stuff, constantly seeing new stuff, but then after just a portion of playing it, you just start to see the same things happen like over and over again, and it's like, all right, so that's just how it's gonna be, huh? But listen, what's here is a really fun, quirky game, and I just couldn't wait to see what they would do in the next one. Son of a bitch. Miitopia is kind of considered to be like the follow-up to Tomodachi Life. I don't like this game. Like, it's fine at the end of the day. Like, I know some people got into it, but honestly speaking, this just doesn't hit the same at all. You know what made Tomodachi Life fun? Is the fact that it knew it wasn't a traditional video game. It wasn't trying to be one. Would I like some more gameplay-esque elements? Sure. There's all the mini games you play in this game. I think that would be kind of nice if, there was more of them, and more of them were a little more like skill-based maybe. There's like this event that happens in the game called Tomodachi Quest, where when you go to like the amusement park or something during specific times, there's like a little arcade game that plays. Now, of course, this game is like an incredibly light RPG. RPG. There's nothing to it, man. But yeah, I mean, like, that's at least something that goes on. It's a little tiny mini game. But imagine if they made a full game about that, where yeah, it's still also, like, there's nothing to it. Miitopia has a lot of fun, cute elements, but I think it takes a lot of, like, the charm out of Tomodachi Life and turns it into a very basic RPG that is just, like, I'm sorry, it's not entertaining to me. There's not enough depth. And I think Miitopia really strives based on how much you're looking to do in the game. If you just want to, like, make Miis of all of your friends and all these different characters and just play it for hours on end, sure. But I'm not willing to do that because it takes a lot of the quirky fun out of Tomodachi Life. It's not like the Miis are acting on their own accord. They're like, oh man, you do your little personality chart, and then you see the Miis do things that they might do in real life. No, I mean, you pretty much just make a Mii and put them in a role in this game. You just like, oh, I want this Mii to be this character, and this Mii to be that character. And what's even worse, they don't talk. It's all just dialogue boxes in this game. I'm like, I don't want this. It's not as funny as it is in Tomodachi Life. You have the whole text-to-speech program ass talking in this game, and it makes it fun. It makes it so weird, but it just oddly hits better that way because, like, oh yeah, the Miis are actually talking. It's not like you're just seeing their text written out. If your Mii says something wacky in Miitopia, it's not as interesting because, like, you're not actually hearing them say it. You're just seeing a text box. And I've said this before, but, like, that's pretty much the equivalent of just putting, like, a sticky note speech bubble in front of a picture of somebody and then them saying, like, oh yeah, I smell bad. Like, oh, that's funny. Now, Tomodachi Life is just so much more bizarre and weird, and that's what I like about it. But there was another follow-up to Tomodachi Life, and it kind of at least had some of the same vibe as Tomodachi Life, Miitomo on smartphones. Nintendo's very first smartphone application. It wasn't their first game, per se. I mean, there were some game elements in the game, but for the most part, it was kind of like this weird video game social networking mashup. Kind of just took the concept of Tomodachi Life and turned it into something where, like, oh, you answer questions, and then your friends answer those same questions, and then you guys can see, like, you know, how everybody answered, and, you know, your Miis, you know, have that same text-to-speech dialogue, and, you know, you can dress them up, you can do stuff. I don't know, it's gone. Like, they got rid of it. They shut down Miitomo. But, you know, for the time Miitomo was around, I played it for like a couple weeks, you know, during the launch or so. I think they could have gone further with it, and, you know, it would have been cooler if they incorporated some more Tomodachi Life elements. But for the most part, you know, like, it was fine. But damn, all right, now that we're out of the 3DS and we're no longer really doing a lot of smartphone games, hell yeah, we can do Tomodachi Life 2 on the Nintendo Switch. Son of a bitch! Yeah, so just a Miitopia remaster. God damn it. This is not what I wanted. This is not what I wanted at all. I don't care about this. I think it looks very nice, and they added a couple of cool things. The Mii Maker in Miitopia on Nintendo Switch is insane. You can do so much in it, but it's still just Miitopia, and I already didn't really like Miitopia, so, like, I just want another one of these. How likely is that? I don't know. Nintendo does seem to be kind of, like, wishy-washy on what they want to do with Miis going forward. You know, I think it's weird that they remastered Miitopia, you know, a game with Mii in the name. You know, bring that over to Nintendo Switch. But then for Nintendo Switch Sports, you know, they pretty much replace the Miis with these fucking creatures. You can play as Miis in Nintendo Switch Sports, but it's definitely obvious that Nintendo would prefer if you didn't. They definitely want you to play as the sports mates. And just seeing, like, all the other games that they're doing, it doesn't really feel like Nintendo is really valuing Miis like they used to, but it just makes it kind of odd when they do utilize them. You know, something like Mario Maker 2, your Mii is like a big element of, like, your user profile in that game. And there's like a whole bunch of stuff where like, oh yeah, you can buy costumes for your Mii, and you can do this, you can do that. And then Mii fighters were still a big element of Smash Brothers Ultimate. You know, the Mii fighter costumes were like a big element of just like, oh, every single Smash Brothers Ultimate announcement. To be fair, that was kind of just like, oh, you know, bringing that over from Smash Wii U when Miis were even more, you know, prominent. And the Mii fighter costumes eventually became just flat out like, they don't even look like Miis anymore. Like the Sans costume or the Fallout Vault Boy costume. It's just like, it's just flat out like, hey, if you want this character in Smash Brothers, here's like a consolation prize. Back during Smash Wii U, a lot of the Mii fighter costumes were genuinely that. They were like costumes. Or like, oh, the King K. Rool costume. It's like, oh, his head is wrapped around the Mii's head, but you still see the Mii's head. It's almost like a Halloween costume. Eventually in Smash Ultimate, we see a lot more just flat out like, yeah, like the whole damn face is just replaced. You also have Mii's in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but again, you know, that's kind of like a holdover from the Wii U. Like, we can play as Mii's in a fair amount of Nintendo Switch games, but like I'm saying, it just seems like we're kind of going away from them, and that's unfortunate. I think it's genuinely impressive how much you can do with Mii makers, and they're character creators that like anybody can use. I love them. If Nintendo was fully moving away from Mii's, I'd say that's a shame, but it's also like, you know, like I kind of get it, I guess. You know, we're no longer doing Wii stuff anymore, so, you know, the fact that we still have these Mii's, you know, I'm like, why? Like, this doesn't make any sense with the current branding of Nintendo, but, you know, I think it's kind of cool that, you know, we still have Mii's, but, you know, I get why Nintendo would, like, be like, all right, we're done with this. But I'm just going, like, okay, but we're still doing Miitopia on Switch, so, like, yeah, like, what are we doing? So, what is the likelihood of a new Tomodachi Life game? Yeah, I mean, I feel like, you know, everything is possible. I think Nintendo might have gone a little cold feet for a bit there because of the whole controversy with this game, how it doesn't include gay relationship options. But they included that with Miitopia, so I feel like at this point, like, yeah, if they would do a new Tomodachi Life, that wouldn't really be a problem for them. They would just include it. They included it in this game, they could include it in this one. The lack of having access to a constant touchscreen, you know, might be a bit of a deterrent for a Tomodachi Life sequel, you know, on the Nintendo Switch systems, but I don't really think you need a touchscreen all the time. For some reason, they just don't let you use buttons in Tomodachi Life a lot of the time. They'll randomly let you do it, but here, I don't understand why I can't just use the D-pad to select a part of the island. I have to use the touchscreen, I have to enter this way, but then I can use the D-pad to go through my apartment buildings and all of that, but then I have to use the touchscreen to enter in. I think, you know, I think Tomodachi Life could work without a constant touchscreen. You can use it on the TV if you'd like to. Yeah, man, I've been grinding on this a lot lately. It's just something kind of mindless for me to kind of like pop in every now and then and just check on, but it just makes it 10 times more obvious that there is so much potential with more stuff you can do with Tomodachi Life. So, I mean, I would love just more like food options. I would love more interior options. I would love more hats, more clothing, but also, you know, like just some random ideas I have. You know how you randomly see Mii's from your apartment just like, whatever, be, you know, like the cashier at the food mart and all of that. I think it'd be really cool if jobs played a bigger role in Tomodachi Life. Something where maybe you can convince your Mii to like pick up a certain job and then they make more money and then you can kind of see them use and spend that money more often. I would like to see more negativity in Tomodachi Life. When I look at the personality chart in this game, too much, like everybody's personality chart is like trying to do like a positive spin on everything. Like, oh yeah, they're a dreamer, they're a leader, I'm like, no, I want some bad fucking people in this game. I want some people that just mess shit up. I think it'd be cool to see more online connectivity where potentially, you know, you can send people off to other people's islands. You can already do that in this game, but locally. And you can use QR codes, which are really handy. You can just scan a Mii immediately pretty much and then get them in your game. But I think having some kind of form of online connectivity like Animal Crossing has, where you can visit other people's islands, I think would be really great. There's already some Street Pass functionality in this game where you have a campground. The campground only exists after you have a married couple, have a kid, and then that kid grows up, and then that kid goes off to travel the world. And by that, it means, oh yeah, you know, like whenever you Street Pass somebody on the 3DS, they'll then go to somebody else's system. And if you Street Pass somebody with Tomodachi Life and a kid, yeah, that you'll see their Mii's kid pop up in your game. That's it. You know, I feel like that's kind of a fun little thing, but you can do even more with that. I think having more stuff to do, like a bigger nightlife. Tomodachi Life is kind of like Animal Crossing in that respect, where there's not a lot to do at nighttime, and it just kind of sucks. You always have some Miis that are up all night, and you can talk to them and everything, but when it comes to, like, you know, actual things going on, you know, like, I think it would be great if something like, oh, the amusement park was, you know, actually had more to do. Like, again, look, there's no one here at the moment. There's nothing going on. And even if there was somebody there, you'd just be watching them on the merry-go-round or do something completely useless. That's funny every now and then, but I kind of want there to be more meat to Tomodachi Life. And that's just the thing. This game has so much potential. It's already a fun, quirky, little weird ass. I love that about it, but it does get old fast. And the thing is, I just find this to be one of Nintendo's most unique properties. And if Miitopia is their solution to replacing it, I'm sad. I could keep going on about like stuff I would love to see in these games, but at the end of the day, it kind of just boils down to, I just want more stuff to do. And that is something that I would be fearful if they do finally make a sequel to Tomodachi Life. I kind of feel like it's going to be a little lacking in terms of content. You know, this isn't necessarily a game that I would be opposed to the drip feeding of content through like free updates, like, oh, here's more stuff. You know, like, I think that could work out pretty okay for Tomodachi Life. I would just need like a good base package first. But it's like, even this stuff, like, you get like whatever little treasures every now and then in Tomodachi Life. I don't think they do anything. You know, correct me if I'm wrong. I looked it up on Google once. Like, I'm like, what do I do with the treasures I collect? And they're just like, sell it. They're like, there's no point to them. It's literally just cute little things that you can sell at the pawn shop. That's it. Like, I'm like, what if you could give these treasures back to your Miis? Like, if you have treasures that you know some Miis would like, why not give it back to them? And then you could see like a little shelf in their apartment fill up. I just see so much potential with this concept. And for what it was, Tomodachi Life did do well with it. But you can just see them be able, like, you can go so much further with this. And I'm a little worried Nintendo just doesn't want to take that risk. They're like, there's no point to it if we include too much random stuff that the Miis could do. You know, oh, we already got into a controversy before because we didn't think gay people existed, but that doesn't need to happen again. You fixed it with Miitopia, and you can fix so much more with this game. So I'm really sorry. I just really wanted to ramble about how much I want a Tomodachi Life 2, and I'm also sorry since I still haven't gotten it yet. Here you go.